of the Bank of England, which was in 1946, and effectively succeeded global economic hegemony of Ponzi scheme. That is what central banks did. That's the way it was designed by the British over 300 years ago and has developed very little since the present time.
Scotch, and the Scotch still exists today. If you want to go to the Scotch of St James and you don't know where it is, they're not going to let you in. You're introduced to it. It is people who are connected, and this car has really unwittingly stitched me right up. Let me see if I can get around. It was a burger bar, and like I touched on before, Americana and burgers and anything to do was alluring to our teenage runaways. It was too big for its premises by the late 60s, and they started scouting round for something a little bit more impressive. And right on cue, Rolls-Royce, yes, Rolls-Royce, leave their dealership for a new site in Berkeley Square on Piccadilly here. And the site where Hard Rock is today is that site that Rolls-Royce left in 1971. The Great American Disaster changed its name, it opened, it served its burgers and its fries, and a queue formed. And that queue really is the secret of the success. Because on the right hand side there you'll see the brown awnings with a yellow sign, the badge you probably recognise, of Hard Rock Cafe. Summer of 71, the queue is snaking up the road there, and two incredibly connected musicians, Mr. Peter Townsend of The Who and Mr. Eric Clapton of, well, everybody really. Clapton will just play with anybody. They are queuing for their beer and their burger. Clapton. Guys, this is rock and roll. Everybody's equal. Get in the queue. Clapton bribes the owner with a guitar. It's behind the bar. It's the first item of memorabilia that's taken this restaurant. I know you might think those burgers. They all drank in this pub on the left-hand side. You give me Keith Emerson and Greg Lake when they're in King Crimson and The Nice, before Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Clapton drank here, so Jeff Beck drank here, and they say they always wanted them. And Pink Floyd said they had loads of people chasing them. Can't possibly be, because they lost Joe Boyd as a producer in the deal. So they must, you won't lose Joe Boyd because he was effectively part of the band. And he had to go. And if you're in a strong position negotiating, you don't give one of your key elements away. Arnold Lane, the first Floyd single, went out on an independent label, Pink Floyd. Why? Because nobody would back them. They're the biggest band in London. They don't do singles. And it's all about 2.5-minute versions of your life. People plugging in, going like that. Top 10 in the States, take the money to the bank in a wheelbarrow. You get in the States, the world will want to buy your music. The German chart's quite a good chart, but it's not influential, but it's worth money. The British chart is not worth very much at all. Canada is actually not a bad one. Cambridge, where Syd Barrett, Dave Gilmour, Roger Waters are from, the real creative hub of Floyd over the years. It's a city, a beautiful city, set in a massive field of celery. Whichever way you look in any direction, you've got a beautiful city behind you, and the sky meets the ground as far away as you can see. And what you have there is space, and you can hear it in Floyd's music. Clash, boom, boom, Beatles, boom, boom, Rolling Stones, boom, boom, boom. Floyd is open. You can hear Cambridge and Cambridgeshire in Floyd's music. And they need focal points, because if they don't have focal points on the album, people might just drift out the record shop and not buy it. And one thing Floyd might be, they might be hippies, but they're also very good at selling things. The focal point which brings everybody's attention back on Dark Side of the Moon is some running footsteps that echo and they go away. And they're recording the foot tunnel at South Kensington Tube Station over there. The foot tunnel takes people to the museums from the tube station. Thousands of people walk up there every day, and that's where those key footsteps were recorded. Taken to Abbey Road and manipulated. You could manipulate sound in the 70s, you couldn't just press a button on your console and create something.
car. He didn't notice that the nights had changed.
Lamborghini Christmas crackers.
People stood and stared.
Far more sober. Look at the Maseratis down here.
Nobody was really sure if he was from the house of
Chemical help in those tears. Sometimes people say, he did cry probably at that Jimi Hendrix concert gig. It was a showcase really for the musical industry, but it wasn't unusual to see Clapton at the time in '66 bursting out into tears in different places. You know, chemicals does that to people sometimes. They can just see somebody tread on an ant and all of a sudden cry for half an hour for the ant's family. It's just how emotions run at certain times in people's existence. So he was having one of those periods. But it did happen just there. It's away from the mainstream. Okay. On the right hand side here, this is the Natural History Museum, and behind it, as we travel up on our right, is much of Imperial College, and this is London's Science University's Imperial. And in fact,
she's a black magic woman, and she's trying to do the devil. The soul of a woman was created for love.
now I know this is a rock and roll tour, but contemporary culture is popular with people who like music. And just coming as I go through the traffic lights, on the left hand side there's a little white gatehouse. There's a very, very elegant terrace behind the gatehouse called Earl's Terrace. And if any of you like Harry Potter, this is where J.K. Rowling's London home is. And I can link it to the music tour in two ways. One, all the Harry Potter music was recorded at Abbey Road. So if you get all the incidental music, all the backings, everything from Harry Potter is recorded at that studio we're on our way up to see. That's where J.K. Rowling lives. She didn't like London actually, she never made it. But you can always spot when a record company thinks a band might have a chance, because they give them old roadies. The old roadies show them where the fun is and pull them back just before they go too far. That's what the old roadies. And this kid said to me, I've got Lansdowne back, it's about my age. It comes from Lansdowne back, the phrase comes from lugging a Hammond organ up to the top floor here to record. Now the second recording here, if you like it heavy, and I say I mentioned heavy, very heavy, very humble, and Demons and Wizards, Uriah Heep, and nearly all the Uriah Heep output was recorded here. The Pistols recorded here. It's one of the studios, some studios are specific to a style, and some are just, you can do anything, and this was a good studio. And it starts off in 1957, up by a guy called Dennis Preston. They give a young engineer a chance here. It's called Joe Meek. Now Joe Meek died in '67. He was a gay fella, shot himself when he was outed. The thing is, so it's not just the rock thing and the heavy metal in the Midlands. If you know Jeff Lynne, he became famous with the LO, various bands he stayed here with. I've got this on very good authority because a friend of mine was part of that scene. If you know 65, the key moment I think, and it gets maybe brushed through the carpet, Brian Epstein up to that point has only really signed Liverpool bands. All of a sudden Brian Epstein signs a band that's come through the Birmingham scene called the Moody Blues. And the frontman of the Moody Blues is Denny Lane, who forms Wings with Paul McCartney. They stayed here as well. There, Sigur Rós, Vampire Weekend, The Horrors, XX, all on XL Records. And if you've had a coffee anywhere in the world in the last 10 years, every coffee shop thinks they're original by playing bloody Adele 21. But he's on XL Records, you know. He really does pick them. That's the black door where they go in now. There's nothing going on today because there's a Porsche here, but that's not a new one. There's a couple of very smart cars here when they are recording. But look at these letters here. It says Sound West around the building site. That's Rihanna. Anybody know the Prodigy? Braintree's finest. I am a fire starter. Seal. I saw Seal here the other day actually. He's about 12'10". Grace Jones, a Band-Aid single. Out of Noise. That's more Trevor Horn music. Out of Noise. Malcolm McLaren. There he is on VR. That's Trevor Horn. Exodus. And Queen Use the World and many, many more. Now around the corner here we've got a little nod to our Caribbean friends that start the music story off here, because look at the colours on these buildings. This isn't a London colour, is it? This is Caribbean, this is island colours. In our country, I bet in Coventry, you paint your house white, black or cream, don't you? Yeah. None of this fancy stuff here. Yeah, they're smuggling this in. White or off-white, that's the rules. 1964, Hard Day's Night, first Beatles movie. Ringo's running from the girls. He gets a disguise so the girls don't recognise him. He walks down the road a bit, when he comes out the shop, he sees a girl he likes, he looks her up and down. She says, "Get lost, shorty." Where she says, "Get lost, shorty," he's right in front of that purple building there called Edmonds. And where he gets the disguise is just on this corner here. This shop that now sells curtains and blinds is where Ringo got his, what you might loosely describe as a beatnik outfit. And underneath this road here, this is where a lot of our early dub and rock steady bands played in a club. There's a club underneath this road here. And Floyd played in this club because Floyd were about the only white band, because they're so hippie friendly and the hippies got on with the black people very well. They were allowed to play in Notting Hill. Jeff Beck, Clapton, Brian Jones, a lot of them came here but weren't really allowed in on the scene. That's good, but listen to this for rhythm. Lives in Holland Park actually. They call him the Hermit of Holland Park. Nobody ever sees him, but apparently he's if you saw the Oscars last week, the four tracks that were all up for the Oscar for the film soundtrack, every one of them was recorded here. Star Wars.
This is the guy who I didn't give you that.
The webcam there, guys, the webcam. Oh. You can download a still. Now we were there about 4:30. They've got 24 hours after the night's gone off the server. Any search engine, put Abbey Road in, and the webcam will come up. Or if you go on the homepage, click on webcams. It's back. Bit of Chris Juice just ignores it. Paul McCartney said last year and the year before, and he said it a number of times. He gets a bit annoyed with interviews actually. He says to them, "Let's get one thing straight. Yoko Ono did not break up the Beatles. John Lennon broke up the Beatles." And people go, "Oh, you're just saying that." Well, I don't know what else he can say, but you know, she was just there at the time, Yoko Ono. The Beatles were always going to break up. They were the first. Right in front of us, behind the traffic lights, straight down the road, where this traffic is going to go down there, that's where the magical mystery wanted me to fill in and set me off. People all say they have a thing, and it's more than about artistic credibility this than money, I think. I forget the name of the saxophonist, but he was paid £27 and the cheque bounced. There you go, welcome to Jerry Rafferty. But let's give you a bit of a blast of this track, because it is worth listening to. And we're in a bit of traffic, so it's quite a long one and fill some time. I'm going to take a diversion here, I think.